Thank you, Chairman Cantwell. Ms. Sohn, welcome back. I think it's a fair description. You have indicated you support, quote, reasonable broadband pricing. My question is, are those two things inconsistent? And if yes, what is your position? And if no, what's the difference?
Well, Senator, I apologize, but could you please give me a little more context where I might have talked about who doesn't support reasonable broadband pricing? Like who? I mean, nobody wants high prices, so I'm not. Did I say the FCC should implement reasonable broadband pricing? Did I say that they should rate regulate? Because I don't know where I said that.
All right, I don't know that you said it, that the FCC should rate regulate. So let me just ask you, should they?
No, and at the last hearing, as you know, I expressly disavowed any support for the FCC implementing rate regulation. I don't think they tried to do it in cable in the 90s, didn't work out well. I don't think that's something the FCC does well, so no, I would not support it.
And so your statement in the last hearing stands, and whatever you said previously doesn't contradict that as far as what the FCC
that is a distinction with a difference, I would say.
Yes, okay, thank you. And overbuilding, we are putting a lot of dollars, Congress is putting a lot of dollars into broadband deployment at USDA, now at the Department of Commerce, and certainly at the FCC. One of my things I've championed is try to make sure that the dollars that we're putting into those programs go to places that have no or very poor connectivity and speed. Is there any circumstance in which you would see that it's appropriate to overbuild, or will you make certain that the dollars and the statutory instructions that those dollars go to places that would not be overbuilding? Does that comply with your views, and is there any exception to that rule?
So I support the framework of the bipartisan infrastructure law that tasks NTIA, not the FCC, although I think it's a fine model for the FCC as well, to spend the money in unserved areas first. And then, and only then, after the states have demonstrated that they've provided the money to unserved areas, then to go to areas that are underserved. Because it's not only important to make sure that those with nothing have something. Once the money is spent there, I think it's important for those that have not very good connectivity. I mean, particularly, look, you know, in rural areas, as so much of Kansas is, you've got farmers who they can't do their precision farming with 25.3, right? So they have it, even though I don't agree with the 25.3 standard, but that's a whole other conversation. They have it, but they have stuff that doesn't allow them to actually make a living. So I don't know if you would agree that once the money goes to places that don't have anything, then folks that do have something, but something that's inadequate, should also get the money.
Yes, I don't disagree with that. I would say setting the standard maybe is the way you can take care of more and serve all. But you're absolutely right. Lots of agriculture producers, this is not just being on the internet at home at night looking at a movie. This is how you earn a living in many places across Kansas, in agriculture and elsewhere. Net neutrality. My understanding is that the ranking member, Senator Wicker, and Senator Sinema have formed a working group to explore legislative solutions to concerns about net neutrality. And I wish that we, on a less than party line vote, could develop what would be called net neutrality, or what would be called policy in this arena. Can you explain why the FCC, if you believe this, should preempt congressional efforts to get legislation passed?
I guess I don't consider it,
a policy decision for Congress.
So I guess I don't consider it preempting it. I consider it working alongside it. In that October 2020 paper that I referred to before, I did say the FCC should reinstate its authority, but I also said at the same time it must work with Congress for a permanent solution. I feel very passionately about this, and I feel passionately about this, A, because I think that Congress has frankly allowed this back and forth ping pong game. I don't want to blame anybody in particular to go on for too long, and it's really up to Congress to give the FCC appropriate authority, and we can debate what appropriate authority is, as well as give them specific authority to either adopt net neutrality rules or lay out the net neutrality rules in legislation. However, as I said before, consumers can't wait to have some oversight, and right now the FCC does not have oversight over broadband. And I think if the FCC were to act, that might kickstart the congressional process. And like I said, I would love to work with folks that want to see a congressional result to this, because I would.
A theme of mine is that that Congress needs to work, needs to do its job. We need to work together. We have different points of view. Find that consensus. Everything doesn't have to be a 3-2 vote. I want Congress to deal with net neutrality, and I certainly prefer that to the FCC by a 3-2 vote or whatever it might be, having that result.
Thank you, Senator Moran. Senator Rosen.